I know that while I was dating someone previously, he had messaged them without my knowledge and threatened them. I just want to avoid any conflict at all possible.
If you hurt my child, you're going to be dead.
I was in the Marine Corps, but I never threatened his girlfriend.
It's the state's understanding, both parents are present, Miss Kano pro se and Mr. Pollard represented by Mr. Tanaka. It's the state's understanding that we have an agreement on the state's pleading the suit for confirmation of arrears and modification of support order, specifically that the new support obligation from Mr. Pollard, $838 per month, begins September 1, 2023, which was after both parents were served. The state is seeking to is seeking a future pay finding, that Mr. Pollard was paid ahead 20 cents as of August 31, 2023, and carry that amount forward. The state is also...
I've never had that one asked before if it's under $1, but go right ahead, no problems.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state is asking that this court approve the parties' agreement that Mr. Pollard maintain the CHAMP VA for the child. This was in effect roughly in May, but the medical support ordered previously continued through that August 31 date, and no support amount for medical going forward. The child will actually be double covered through the Mother for Government as well. The issues for the court to decide, Your Honor, are based on the parties agreeing to waive defects in service and pleadings to address communication by app close. It wasn't pled for by the state or Mr. Tanaka's cross petition. The pickup and drop off location for the child Sophia. Testimony will show that father is in Illinois and is seeking for either parties to meet in Tyler, Texas, or to have each parent be responsible for a leg of Sophia's journey. And then parties are in agreement to have electronic communication for parent not in possession on Thursdays from 7 o'clock to 7:30 p.m. Central Time, and on Sundays between 9:30 a.m. and 10 o'clock a.m. Central Time. And finally, Your Honor, parents are in agreement to have the court address the issue for determination of disclosure of addresses. Mr. Pollard is seeking all of the information from Ms. Kano, who is hesitant to provide such, and will give testimony as to why, Your Honor. Who is the child in this case?
Sophia Rose Kano.
How are you related to Sophia?
I'm her mother.
Who is Sophia's father?
James Christopher Pollard.
And Ms. Kano, is it correct that Mr. Pollard was the person previously ordered to pay both child support and medical support in this case?
Yes, that's correct.
And were you able to hear my opening statement to the court, ma'am?
Yes, I was.
And was it accurate as far as the agreements between you and Mr. Pollard for current support beginning September 1 and Mr. Pollard being responsible for Sophia's CHAMP VA coverage?
Yes, that was right.
So you were fine with the $838 child support beginning September 1 and a finding that Mr. Pollard was paid ahead slightly as of August 31st, 2023?
Yes, I am.
And as far as the additional issues, Ms. Kano, you were made aware of the cross petition filed by Mr. Tanaka on behalf of Mr. Pollard. And as far as the agreements reached, you are comfortable with Mr. Pollard having electronic communication with Sophia on Thursdays from 7 o'clock to 7:30 p.m. Central Time?
Yes, on Thursdays, yes.
Yes, ma'am. And on Sundays between 9:30 a.m. and 10 o'clock a.m. Central Time as well? And you understand, ma'am, that if you were not, if Sophia was with Mr. Pollard on these specific days, you would also be entitled to those days and times for communication electronically?
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Additionally, you were not in agreement to communicate using the parenting application app close?
No, not at this time.
Any particular reason, ma'am?
Because I think that we've been doing okay with communicating through the Messenger, Facebook.
And is it correct, ma'am, that you were also asking this court to consider, oops, I don't see her.
Okay, I thought she was in a vehicle. I hope she wasn't moving. That sometimes. There she is.
I'm not driving.
Okay, I know. Okay, again, you might be a passenger. I've had that happen too. So, but yes, you're back on. No problem. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Kano, my last question was, is it correct that you're asking this court to decide whether you need to disclose your physical address and other contact information to Mr. Pollard?
Yes, I am.
And ma'am, why is it that you are not wanting to do so?
Well, I would just rather avoid any potential drama or like arguments going forward. I know that while I was dating someone previously, he had messaged them without my knowledge and threatened them.
I'm sorry, ma'am, I couldn't understand you. Could you please repeat that, please?
Yes, Your Honor. I just want to avoid any conflict at all possible. I know that when I was dating someone previously, he had threatened them through a message because he felt the need to protect Sophia for some reason. He said that if he hurt her, that he would be dead. I just want to avoid all drama and all of that, if at all possible. I don't want him to randomly show up and have to deal with.
Okay, ma'am. I'm trying to figure out why everyone using a communication app would make that problematic. I really don't like
it's not for the.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. It's not for the drop. It's for him knowing my address, physical address.
Okay, man. Well, we're talking about the. I thought the question was about the app. I may have missed something there real quick, but we're talking about using the app for all communication. The FaceTime, the everything is done through AppClose, and AppClose actually has a function whereby later on, if we need that information, what was said one way or the other through the app, a lawyer can get it. Your lawyer, his lawyer, whatever. So I always use AppClose, ma'am, and pretty much that's that.
I can understand. I can agree to use that. It's probably better for proof.
Yes, ma'am, it is. Okay. But anyway, we'll go. Okay, I'll let the state. I'm sorry, Ms. Bungata. Maybe our judge had a momentary lapse of reason there. Okay. Old album. You guys are way too young for that. Anyway, but bottom line is, I'll let you go ahead and ask the question again. She was on the thing about the address information, so I'll let you go ahead and proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, how long ago did that threat occur?
That was April 23rd of 2021.
And since then, ma'am, is there anything else that would give you concern about providing your contact information to Mr. Pollard?
Written-wise, no, ma'am.
And ma'am, your current method of communication with Mr. Pollard is Facebook Messenger. Was that what you'd said?
Yes, that's correct.
And ma'am, do you have any problem with changing the method to AppClose, which would be a place for everything related to your daughter, including video messaging or cash transfers if there were any unreimbursement, that kind of thing?
I can change to the AppClose. I'm comfortable with that.
Okay. Moving to the issue of pickup and drop off for visitation, ma'am. When the original order was done, were you a Bell County resident?
Yes, I was.
At this time, ma'am, what county do you live in?
I am in Travis County now.
And ma'am, had you moved to Travis prior to Mr. Pollard moving to his current state of residence?
Yes, I believe so. I've moved a lot. I don't know when he moved to Illinois.
And ma'am, since you moved, who was responsible for the pickup and drop off of Sophia?
He was responsible, but I would meet him.
Was there a specific place or that you and he were meeting?
So in Leander, when I was living in Leander, we would meet at the HEB there. And then when I was living in Hutto, I lived there for 2 years, we would meet at a gas station called Hutto Mart.
And since he moved to Illinois, ma'am, what has the pickup and drop off looked like?
Well, he hasn't seen her. He's seen her once this year for the summer. I let him take her for 42 days.
Sorry, ma'am. So where did that exchange take place?
The agreement to pick, we met at Sophia School, my work school in Austin, because he was living in South Austin as well.
So do you know how recently he moved to Illinois?
I do not.
Okay. Was there anything in particular, ma'am, you were wanting the court to order for these requests, that the request for exchange place and, well, that's the main request, ma'am?
Just not something that's gonna burn out my car because it's already damaged, the clunker. So I only use it for work in the grocery store. I'm comfortable with driving maybe an hour, but I think anything more will damage it even further.
Thank you, ma'am. I pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am. Back to I'm sorry. Your witness then, Mr. Tanaka. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Your Honor. So Miss Kano, let's see. Are you currently dating that boyfriend that you mentioned?
No, I am not.
Are you currently dating anyone?
No, I am not.
Okay. where do you currently work?
I still work at Leaps and Bounds. I've worked there for almost 6 years.
At where? I'm sorry, could you repeat that one more time?
Leaps, the letter N for November, Bounds.
Great. And is that daycare or school?
It's a preschool.
Great. Is this the same one that the child goes to?
Yes,
Okay, great. What is your work schedule there? Are you full-time?
yes, I'm full-time.
How far away is that from your house?
Without traffic, it's about 15 minutes, but I
Okay.
have to be here at 8 most days.
Okay. So it sounds like we're going to reserve the contact information parts for the judge. So I won't ask you what your phone number, address, or your email is at this time. You did mention that your daughter attends preschool at the Leaps and Bounds facility.
Yes, she graduates in May.
Perfect. Okay, that's awesome. And is my client listed as an emergency contact there?
No, he's listed for pickup.
Okay. Is he able to be listed as an emergency contact there?
He is, but I don't see the point if he's in Illinois. He can't do anything in
Okay.
an emergency.
Here's the deal, ma'am. He's the dad. He's going to be, ma'am. I'm sorry. That's just the way it works. It would work the same way with you. Proceed. You have to go on that any further, Mr. Tanaka. Ma'am, unless there's a legal reason he shouldn't be named, and it'll be up to you to give me a legal reason. The fact he lives in Illinois is not a legal reason. Distance is not one. So, but I'll let you explain that to the court why you think it's inappropriate as far as the law is concerned. You may proceed, Mr. Tanaka.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, Ms. Kano, I want to dive in a little bit deeper and kind of follow up with what Ms. Bongot asked you about this threat. And that really is the crux of the reason why you're not providing my client with your mailing address, phone number, and email, and have really forced him to communicate via Facebook Messenger only past couple of years. So I want to talk about this threat because it seems very important to you. So I want to make sure I understand it better. Did my client, Mr. Pollard, ever threaten you directly? And Ms. Bongot asked this again, but I believe you said this threat happened 2021. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And if I heard you correctly, the threat, what he told your boyfriend was something similar to the lines of, if you hurt my child, you're going to be dead, essentially. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And in what form did he communicate with the boyfriend? Was it through Facebook, phone call, email?
It was through Facebook Messenger.
Okay. Did the boyfriend reach out to the police and try to get them involved or anything?
He considered it, but he dropped it, so no.
Okay. And explain to me how that statement threatens either you or the child.
Well, I know that I just don't know what he was capable of.
Has he ever been violent towards you at any point during your relationship or even after it?
No, we only dated a few months.
Okay. To your knowledge, has he ever been physically violent with any other person, any of your friends, family, that kind of thing?
No, not to my knowledge.
And he's never been violent towards the child?
Around me, no, but I don't know what he does when he's with her.
Okay. What kind of car do you have, Miss Kano?
I have a Nissan Versa.
And you mentioned that you're worried about driving it. Is it in the shop, or is it going to be in the shop here pretty soon?
Yes, it needs to be. I'm actually going to try and junk it once I pay it off in hopefully February and get a new one, or a better one.
How far away is Tyler, Texas from where you're currently living?
Let me double check. I don't want to give the wrong. It's 3 hours and 48 minutes.
And you only have one car in your possession?
Yes, just one.
Okay. No further questions at this time, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I think you're on mute.
Ma'am, what year is your vehicle?
It is a 2019, but I got it from a second chance dealership, so it was already used.
How many miles does it have on it?
Let's see. Over 100. It's not showing right now.
Over 100,000?
I'm sorry?
Over 100,000?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, anything on redirect, Ms. Bongat?
No, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am, be back in a moment. You can call your next witness, Ms. Bongat.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Mr. Pollard. Sir, what is your full name?
James Christopher Pollard.
How are you related to Sophia?
I'm her dad.
And sir, is it correct that you were the person ordered to pay both child and medical support in this case?
Yes.
Were you able to hear my opening statement to the court, sir?
Yes, I was.
And were you in agreement with your new support amount of $838 beginning September 1st of 2023?
Absolutely.
And any problem, sir, with the court finding that you were paid ahead 20 cents as of August 31, 2023?
I actually didn't understand that part, to be honest with you.
Yes, sir. What the state is asking is for the court to find that specific number so it can apply to the future obligations, and any monies paid toward the cash medical support go where they need to go based on the new orders.
Oh, okay. I'm comfortable with that.
And then, sir, is it correct that you have your daughter covered through health insurance?
Yes, it's called Champ VA.
And is there any cost to you, sir, to provide that for her?
No, it's a free benefit that I get as a 100% disabled veteran.
And sir, you understand that the child support was calculated according to guidelines, so 20% of your non-taxable income?
Yes.
And sir, were you able to hear the mother's testimony?
Yes, I was.
And so at this point, sir, it sounds like you and she are in agreement to communicate going forward using app close and having those specific electronic communication times with Sophia on Thursdays and Sundays.
Very happy with that.
And sir, when exactly did you move from the Central Texas area?
You know, I can look back, it would take me a long time. I let Krista know that I was coming up here for a little while. I wouldn't be able to pick up Sophia. And, but, so I moved up here February of last year. And it wasn't really set in stone whether or not we were going to stay here until later on in the year that we realized we're going to build our house here.
And sir, would you agree that the last time you saw your daughter was this past summer?
In person, yes.
Okay. And sir, have you provided all of the contact information you're requesting from Miss Kano to her with regard to yourself?
Yeah, I've given her my updated phone number. She hasn't asked for anything else, but I'd be happy to do that right now.
Okay. And then, sir, with regard to the exchanges of Sophia, what are you wanting this court to order?
You know, I totally understand having vehicle problems. One of the biggest reasons that I need it to be kind of a separate thing is because I drive a very old vehicle covered in rust. I think it's more than fair for me to drive from Maroa, Illinois to Tyler and only have Krista go up to Tyler if she's capable. Which it looks like, I mean, if she gets her car fixed or gets a new vehicle, maybe that can be a thing.
Thank you, sir. I pass this witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Tanaka, you're a witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Pollard, just a couple of quick questions for you. Could you explain to the court why you moved to Illinois?
Well, my wife's family, they're getting older and they needed help. Help around the house, just doing grocery shopping, things like that. Recently, my wife's uncle that was caring for his mother, he just passed away. So a lot of the responsibility is on me and my wife to kind of help out the rest of the family.
Okay. I want to talk about just your ability to communicate with your daughter recently. During the week, would you say that on a regular basis that you're easily able to stay in contact with your daughter?
No.
Could you explain?
Ask questions. For instance, this last weekend on Friday night, I asked Krista if I could talk to Sophia this weekend, and I gave her a approximate time frame that I would be available, and see if we could go, break it in. And instead of we'll make this work so that Sophia can see her dad, she said no, she'll be busy. The rebuttal was, why don't you talk to her now? And that puts a lot of pressure on me because I don't know, is Sophia getting her hopes up, hearing that, hey, dad may call, but I can't, and then I'm making her feel bad, really is disappointing. So I waited Saturday, I didn't get a call, and I waited Sunday, didn't get a call. What I did receive was 2 pictures of my daughter at a park and start of an argument from Krista when all I'm asking is 10 minutes of my daughter's time so she knows I'm thinking about her.
Okay, so you would agree that hopefully having set days and times in place for electronic communication is going to help big time, correct?
I hope so. This gives something that Sophia knows for a fact she can look forward to. Krista should be able to make time. I should be able to make time unless extenuating circumstances, which are understandable as well.
Sure. And I guess, would it be helpful for the judge to order that, I guess, the parent not in possession of the child be the one who initiates the call?
I'm
So
sorry,
there's no-
can you ask again what you just said?
Sure. Would it be helpful for the judge to order that the parent not in possession of the child be the one responsible for initiating the call, just so there's no confusion as to who calls who at, at the
Yeah.
appropriate time?
Absolutely.
Great. Has Miss Kano ever given you a phone number to reach your daughter at?
Yeah, apparently it's the wrong one. I believe that's the number that I shared with you, and we found out together that it didn't work.
Okay. Has she ever blocked your phone number to your knowledge?
She's blocked me on Messenger multiple times whenever we had disagreements.
And that is the only way that she's given you to communicate with her previously. Is that correct?
Right. I've wanted to do health and welfare checks in the past, especially once I found out about that. But I don't have an address or a phone number. I just have a name, and I didn't know if I could even do anything with that.
Has she ever given you a mailing address so you can mail your daughter birthday cards or packages on her birthday?
No, she refuses to give me an address
Have you requested that from her?
multiple times.
Okay. And what is her response when you request that?
I'm not comfortable with that.
Okay. So I'd like to kind of touch on that because as you heard Miss Kano talk about, really the comfortableness, the I'm not comfortable stems from this 2021 instance. Do you happen to recall that Facebook Messenger message that you sent to her boyfriend at the time?
I do indeed. Yeah.
And is it accurate that you said something along the lines that if you hurt my daughter, you're good as dead, pretty much? Was that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I mean, do you generally agree with that statement?
My statement revolves around the fact that I want the best for my daughter. I want to know she's safe. And because I don't have any information, I'm pretty on high alert.
Right.
It's really hard to not know where your daughter is ever.
Did you make that statement to threaten his well-being, or was it made out of concern for your daughter's safety and well-being?
I'm a former infantryman. I'm used to just talking tough to somebody to get a point across. But the point that I was trying to make is my daughter's important to me. She's the most important thing in my life. And I don't know who you are. So just know that I hold her the most.
I understand. Okay. And Miss Kano has said this, but you have never physically assaulted, hurt Miss Kano or your daughter, have you?
No, I've never had any case of assault of any sort.
Okay, great. And are you asking the judge today to order that Miss Kano be ordered to provide you with a current email address, phone number, and mailing address so you are able to stay in contact with her and your daughter?
Absolutely. What if something happens and I need to get there? I mean, if there was an emergency, God forbid, I have no idea where to start.
Understood. Okay. And you're comfortable with giving her the same information on your end?
100%.
Right. And you are asking the court to order these periods of electronic communication, the Thursday from 7 to 7:30 and the Sunday morning, 9:30 to 10, Central Time every week?
Yes.
And are you requesting that the child's mother, and this would apply to you too, but whoever's with the child not be present during those calls unless there is a valid reason for the child's safety or well-being?
Yes. And to mitigate the concern, I believe Krista shared with me about, Sophia playing with the phone or something, have the phone in a stand, make it a rule. You can't touch the phone while we're talking. Obviously, whenever I have Sophia with me, I'll do the same exact thing. I have a phone stand and we can do it that way. But as it is right now, Sophia always looks up to her mom to know what to say to me when I ask her questions.
Okay. Let's talk about travel, pickup, drop off halfway. So how far of a drive is it for you to drive from where you're at to Tyler, Texas, where your parents live?
Well, I actually did the math all the way to Austin.
Okay.
That's about 15 hours away. So a little bit over 960 miles. I drive a pickup truck, so gas mileage is not the greatest, but I make it work. I've actually borrowed family members' vehicles from up here to get down there. My parents' house is obviously about, I think, 4 hours less in time.
Okay. Would you be comfortable with a judge ordering that you exchange the child at your parents' place. So that would be, I think Miss Kano said roughly a 4-hour drive for her. For you, it'd be roughly 11 hours. Would you be
Yeah,
fine with?
I'm absolutely fine with that. You know, if Krista needs help in that kind of scenario, that's fine. Most important thing is I can get Sophia.
Right. And I guess if she's not able to pick up the child, well, I guess we'll take that step as we get down there. But you're fine with pickup drop off at your parents' house in Tyler. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Has Sophia ever flown before? Is flying an option? Do you know?
Well, to be honest
Probably
with
wouldn't
you, I've been in a couple plane incidences where I have fear of flying myself.
Okay, no
Um,
problem.
Yeah, I've been shot down and had a couple catch fires. So I wish I was not afraid of flying because that would be a wonderful idea.
Has Sophia flown ever by herself, or do you think both of you would be comfortable with that?
I don't think she's old enough to fly by herself.
She's way too young, Mr.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Yes,
airlines don't do it yet.
Yeah, absolutely not. If she was escorted by her mom, or I hate to say it, but I would still escort her on a plane if
Yes,
need be.
sir. Okay, well, great. I just wanted to touch base with that, but it sounds like driving should be sufficient. So
Yeah.
that's all the questions I have for you. I'll pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, anything on redirect, Ms. Bongat?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then. Here's the deal, ma'am. I was looking at your old order. So long as you lived in Bell County, it was dad's responsibility to pick the child up and drop the child off at your residence. But once you moved, and this is straight out of Texas Family Code, it's his job to pick the child up at your residence, technically at the beginning of visitation. But now at the end of visitation, it is your responsibility to retrieve the child from him. So obviously him making a drop off and pick up at Tyler is definitely to your benefit. But again, ma'am, I'm looking straight out of your old order. If you check it yourself, you'll see that's what it says. So again, now that you no longer in Bell and he's no longer in Bell, I'm looking at the responsibility falls on you equally to pick up and drop off the child at the beginning and at the end of the visitation. The other thing I've noticed, there was no restrictions placed on the exchange of address information at the time of the last order. There was no finding of family violence, so there was nothing along those lines. And under the court order, ma'am, you were ordered to keep him informed of all your addresses, all your phone numbers. I don't think email was included in that, but addresses and phone numbers are there. And technically, ma'am, when you refused to do that because you said you didn't feel comfortable, it was no longer your decision. It was my court order. And technically, ma'am, no one, Mr. Tanaka did not file an enforcement against you. So I'm not looking at holding you in contempt for violation of the court order, but that could have been done, ma'am. So, and because I've had people held in contempt for not keeping up with addresses, phone numbers, and so forth and so on. You need to be aware of that. That's something that's out there, and that's something that was in the prior order. And there appears to be no request to change any of that information. So, ma'am, at this time, I'm definitely, it's technically his responsibility to pick up at the beginning of visitation, yours at the end, so forth and so on. This time, ma'am, is there something else you're asking the court to do? Is there some other information you think I need to know that didn't come out in either your testimony earlier and you think I need to know at this point, ma'am? So I'm going to let you go ahead and do a short narrative on those points, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. So I actually have photograph proof that he did have my Colleen address, because he asked me if my address was still on French Street.
Okay, well, ma'am, you haven't lived in Colleen in 2 years, ma'am, so that doesn't matter. That's the point of this moot, ma'am. Correct. You just testified you haven't lived in Bell County for over 2 years, correct? Okay, go ahead, ma'am. Sorry.
And then he also had my Hutto address. He received that August 3rd of 2020, and I lived there for 2 years. He knows where Sophia goes to school. I've also given him the address for that, August 5th, 2022.
Okay, well, here's the deal, ma'am. Going forward, it's no matter, it's the responsibility of whoever moves within a 30-day time frame, or within 30 days of moving, or as soon as they know they're moving to a new address, to let the other party know what that address is and let them know what the phone number is. So going forward, ma'am, it's up to you, if you move, to tell him where you moved to and give him your new phone number, so a new phone number, and vice versa, same with him. Understood?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Now, I'm going to agreement. Everybody's going to use app close going forward to communicate. So that means even the FaceTime visits that each of you would have when the child's with you, you can use app close to do that. So we don't have to use Messenger anymore. We can verify times and dates through app close. And do you have a problem with? And you said you didn't have a problem with that. Is that correct, Ms. Kano?
That's correct.
Okay. All right then, ma'am. And also going forward, I think it's in there, but if it's not, I'm specifically ordering you to put the father in, no matter where your child's in school or daycare going forward, that dad's information is included as a contact person and as the father of the child. Understood? Okay. All right then. I'm letting you. Something else you're asking the court to do, or do you need an explanation of something, ma'am?
Yes. I also felt the need to say I was in the Marine Corps, but I never threatened his girlfriends, which I knew of. I guess this is the third one.
I'm sorry, ma'am. You kind of cracked up. What was that last statement, please?
I've never felt the need to threaten any of his. Like, I didn't know them. I didn't say anything to them. I also, one of the reasons that I have so little time to devote to him is because I work 6 days a week. I have a second job on Saturdays, and he thinks that he knows my work schedule, but I work until 10 Saturdays. And he's like, well, I assume a babysitter. I assume you have this and that.
Okay, man. What's your now, ma'am? I'm sorry. Well, what's your point on for this?
How am I? It's a little bit more difficult for me because how am I going to drive 11 hours on a Sunday?
His deal.
That's my only day off.
All right, his deal, ma'am.
Okay.
This is not me. This is the legislature of the state of Texas who came up with these rules. Again, like I said in my opening statement or a speech this morning, I'm locked in. The legislature says, so long as you live where you live, it's it's his responsibility. And now that y'all both live in separate locations, it becomes half your responsibility, ma'am. I can't change that. That's what the law. But he's going to go ahead, and I can make it part of the court order that y'all will make the exchange in Tyler, Texas. But otherwise, ma'am, he's got to pick up down where you live, and then you got to pick up where he lives at the end of visitation. And I'm telling you, based on the testimony and everything I've heard here today, I think that Tyler, Texas is definitely a better route for you to go with, ma'am. And it's up to you to follow up on the order. You know, you're both adults. You're both understand you got a big time work schedule. But the bottom line is the legislature says this is your responsibility going forward, ma'am, and this responsibility is enforceable.
Yes, Your Honor. I also have dates of when I've sent photos or videos and have called, allowed her to video call him. So I never restricted her from seeing him. And as far as being around when she's talking to him, I don't have a phone him.
She's 4 years old, right?
That's correct.
Oh yeah, ma'am, you got to be around. Okay, I'm sorry. This is no, that was a problem. But she's 4. You're going until a certain age. Yeah, you got to be there, and vice versa when he's there. Yes, be there with the device or that he uses to let her communicate with you. That's not a problem, ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
That's all I can think of right now.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
That's all I can think of right now at this time.
All right, ma'am. Again, I'm looking at. Again, I know, vehicles, everybody can't afford to go out and buy a new vehicle every year or like my cousin Mickey. But the bottom line is, that transportation responsibility falls on you now. And that's based on what the legislature says I've got to order. So are you okay with me setting the exchange at his parents' house at or location residence in Tyler, Texas? Because obviously, ma'am, that works for you best. Now, later on, if y'all both want the other long distance that lawyers use, the Texas use, is whereby everybody's ordered he's fly down and pick the child up from you, and you're ordered to fly down up and pick the child up from him. But for right now, obviously y'all can agree to do that in addition. But are you okay with me going ahead and ordering that instead of pick up and drop off at the individual residence of the parties, that we make the exchange in Tyler, Texas?
Yes, the Tyler would be better.
Oh yeah, it's definitely he's doing thirds and you're doing 1/3, ma'am. So yeah, that definitely would work better, in my opinion. So, all right, so I've got no problem making that the order also. All right, folks, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll go ahead and ask this point, and I'll start with the state. Is there anything else? And I'll go ahead and make some more rulings here as done everything else. But is anything else the state wants to bring out at this point as far as the request of the parties at this time, Ms. Mongat?
No additional information, Your Honor, but one thing the state hadn't mentioned in the opening statement was its belief that the court would be waiving costs due to parents' prior military service.
Oh yeah, she's a jarhead, and you were Army, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, well, no, yeah, but those two don't mix. I'm sorry.
We learned the hard way.
Oh yeah. The oldest boy is a jarhead, and my dad was 82nd Airborne. So yeah, and he didn't like airplanes that much either, but it is what it is. All right. So,
All the way, Your Honor.
Okay. All right then. But yeah, okay. So yeah, of course I'm waiving court costs. No problem with that. So anything else, Ms. Anything else, Ms. Bungot? Because again, I'm getting ready to let everybody make a closing statement, but I just want to make sure I don't have to hear any more testimony from me on from my already on anything.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Any other testimony that you want to elicit at this time, Mr. Tanaka, from my other party?
Could we either call mom so she could provide her address and phone number, or could she just privately give that to Miss Bongat so that can go in the final order?
I'll let y'all go to the breakout room and get that information, okay? But not here
Perfect.
online, obviously. Thank you.
Right, I don't want to. Right, exactly. Yes, you're
All right, I want to get that done today and set up. So, any other comments, Mr. Tanaka?
No, Your Honor, that was it. Thank you.
All right. Well, obviously, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and keep the agreements as far as the parties concerned, dealing with child support, so forth and so on. I'll go ahead at this time and order, and if everybody's in agreement with everyone using app close going forward, let's go ahead and download the app to your devices and register, and that's a done deal. I'm gonna go ahead and order. Based on the fact that neither party still lives in Bell County, Texas, that we're using the standard as per the access to possession that's in the Texas Family Code, as in their prior court order. However, at the time, the father's in agreement that and the mom in agreement that instead of each of them driving all from Illinois to Texas and Texas to Illinois, that the exchange will take place at his parents' home residence in Tyler, Texas, and if mom doesn't have that address, obviously dad will make sure she gets it. Everybody needs to I'll also usually throw it out that at least 24 hours, I'm sorry, that at least 72, with these distances, I'm sorry, at least a week ahead of time, sir, you need to let mom know that, yeah, I'm coming for the visit, for the exchange, to make sure she knows. And when you leave, sir, you need to let her know also, okay?
Yes, sir.
And all that will be through app close. I'm going to go ahead and I've already ordered that mom is going to list you on the child's daycare and schools as being dad, and keep you up with the information on whether any daycare or any school the child's attend, because obviously you have the right to talk to those providers either via phone or in person if you want to, sir. So that's and again, always that's the norm of the court order, and everything else that was in the prior order is in still full force and effect. So is there anything in closing that anybody needs me to specifically rule on that I near? And I'll start with you, Ms. Bongat. Anything else you need to prepare that order that I missed?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Tanaka, anything else?
You didn't orally say it, but I know it came up before, just that mom has to provide Miss Bongat with her phone number and current mailing address.
Right, and we're going to do that in the breakout room, right? So,
yes, Your Honor. Okay.
All right, and all parties can be in there because again, Dad, under the prior court order, that was covered, and that wasn't asked. No one planned to change that. So I'll put y'all all in. I'll ask Ms. Bongat to put y'all all in the same breakout room where that information be exchanged. Now, Ms. Kano, is there anything else, ma'am, you're specifically asking me to rule on today, or anything you need an explanation of, ma'am?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I did not hear you.
I'm sorry. Is there anything else, ma'am, you need the court to explain at this time, or is there anything else specifically you're asking me to make a ruling on, ma'am?
No, Your Honor.
All right, then. I'm going to go ahead and let y'all go in the breakout room. Again, folks, allow this. I know you're not lawyers, and Mr. Pollard has one, ma'am. I know you're not one. You have a copy of your old order from this court?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Read the access and possession parts of that, ma'am, especially that last page that explains the rights under the order and everything. So again, everybody's nowadays. 20 years ago, there was no such term as co-parenting. But again, I think that's the end phraseology. So y'all need to kind of work together on this, and especially since the distances y'all live apart, y'all need to actually correspond with each other and let everyone know what's going on, especially when y'all trying to make these exchanges because it doesn't sound like it sounds like neither of you have the best transportation. Hopefully, ma'am, like I said, after the February of this year, you'll get something a little newer. Again, I would think a 2019 wouldn't be that bad, but obviously, if you bought it used, there could have been problems long before you got it. So yeah, got it. Anyway, folks, we're off the record.
My client just wants it to stop and doesn't want this to ever happen again. And he wants to move on, and he has moved on. So this definitely will address our concerns, Your Honor.
Mr. Tittle's reputation in the community is his company does great work. He's a horrible person that you would never want to date your female friends or female relatives.